Alex Pereira should not fight Ankalaev. He should not fight Ankalaev because the risk is too big. As a matter of fact, Alex Pereira should go to heavyweight and test the waters of the first ever champ. Oh, by the way, I think he can do it. Oh, by the way, I don't think he can do it, but I think the fact that he could get closer than anybody else is just as good, right? Are you finding yourself in one of these camps? Because let me just tell you, history's not with you. Now, you think if you love Pereira is the biggest star, Pereira is your favorite fighter, Pereira has saved 2 UFCs in a row. Pereira does not have a black belt in anything, but he's got 2 gold belts, right? Like, believe me, I get it. But you want, in your heart, you want to get him to heavyweight. If it's opposite Jon Jones, you just made things even sweeter, but it didn't even have to be. It's just heavyweight. It's just champ in the debate. We would no longer have a discussion of GOAT, by the way. Like, GOAT is a ton of fun because it's back and forth and you can hurt people's feelings and you can say things that are crazy, but then they can't prove it. I mean, it's the different possible integers as to why Batman could beat Superman, like that'll never stop being fun. Unless Pereira goes champ. We no longer say GOAT. Like anytime we're getting ready to say GOAT, we will just say Alex Pereira. Wouldn't that be great? But that is also, while you're having those feelings, in conjunction with those feelings, you're equally trying to keep him away from Ankalaev. Or you're trying to get him to Ankalaev with a guarantee that when that's done, he gets to go to heavyweight because he will have then cleaned out the entire division. I appreciate it. Like, I get where your mindset is. I'm just here to share with you that history is against you. If you wanted Pereira to go to heavyweight, this is your end goal, and therefore, sidestep Ankalaev. I will just tell you that Pereira's most likely and fastest path to heavyweight not only goes through Ankalaev, it goes with a loss to Ankalaev. Now, history will back me up on that, whether this is the reality and this is where we go. Let me give you a great example. I'm going to give you a great example that's right in front of your face, but you haven't seen it yet. There's a great fighter. His name is Alex Pereira. He comes into 185 pounds and he takes over. And you believe that this guy is so good and you study the divisions well enough that you believe the skills of Alex Pereira, this middleweight, this new guy, this kickboxer over here at middleweight, that he could even be the champion at 205 pounds. But he's brand new. He's got an amateur record. He's got 5, 6, 7 fights. Like, this is not the kind of guy that goes for champ status. This is not the kind of guy to go against the mold that Dana White is going to give an opportunity in a different division. Dana's not giving opportunities in different division to guys that are 20-0, let alone a guy that's 7-1. Like, this just isn't going to happen. Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is going to happen. He's just going to have to get beat. And he did. And when he got beat, he left the division. And there was no pushback. Your memory tells you wrong. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Because your lying eyes have misled you. Guys cannot go into different divisions. There is a policy within the UFC. You have to fight at one division. Like, everything that you're saying is true for the champion. It's not true for the rest of them. Alex Pereira, your 85-pound world champion, could not have gone to 205 pounds. That's true. Well, unless he loses the belt, which he did. As soon as he loses the belt, he can pop up at 205 tomorrow. And he did. He didn't walk right into a world title fight. Why should he? He was a contender. Walked right into a contender's fight. It's a hard one, too. It's the former world champion, Nate Blachowicz. But he won. And circumstance and opportunity provided, and he got to go in for a world title fight. But I'm only reminding you of this because if your end goal is to get Pereira to heavyweight and you can't figure out how to do it, you feel as though you're stuck between two camps. Beat Ankalaev, avoid Ankalaev. It's like, well, no, not so fast. Not so fast. Your fastest route, if we're going to judge history, would be to not only fight Ankalaev, it would be to lose to him. If he was to fight Ankalaev and beat him, now we've got to have the fight. Now we got to have the big debate. The one that we have nonstop and constantly. Come on, can this guy go up? Why let him go here? Let's do it for champ. Come on, you're not holding up a division. Come on, give him a shot. Come on, man, let this guy be the first. Like, we have to do that whole thing. If he loses to Ankalaev, all he has to do is raise his hand the very next morning and say, I am now a heavyweight. And guess what? He will be. They will put him at heavyweight. Now, as willing as he is, as unwilling as heavyweights are, he could very possibly find himself off a loss to Ankalaev going right into a world title fight. I'm not suggesting you bank on that. I'm just suggesting for you that could happen. However, there's not really any circumstance that even the biggest doubter would say that if he found himself at heavyweight, including coming off of a loss at light heavyweight, if he found himself at heavyweight, he's not going to have to win more than one. That's all he had to win at light heavyweight was one. So if we're to look at history, and don't let your lying eyes misguide you, yes, it's true. We could take Ankalaev. I apologize. We could take Pereira right now and put him at heavyweight. But if we were to do that, we would make it very clear that heavyweight has two divisions, which it appears to have anyway. We don't want to make that clear. We don't want to make it clear that there's one line going for interim time, there's another line over here. Even though it is what we don't want that clear. So, the time is not now. Gonna have to wait. But if you believe that beating Ankalaev, thus having cleaned out a division, historically speaking, gives you the right to then go up to a different division, you're wrong. Go tell that story to George St. Pierre, who cleaned out a division twice. Go tell that story to Kamaru Usman, who cleaned out a division twice. That's not the way that it works. I understand that it can. I understand that we're going to fiercely adhere to whatever rules we make up on the spot. I understand that. I'm just here to remind you. This already happened once. We got Pereira from middleweight that we thought was really good. We got him to light heavyweight, but how did we do it? It wasn't by cleaning out a division. It wasn't by doing it twice. It was by getting him beat. Then he was free to go and do whatever he wanted. And the same is true now. The conversation for Pereira at heavyweight, aside from illness or injury, if something's to happen to Curtis Blades or something's happened to Steve Miocic, we're having a totally different conversation. But for what we have in front of us right now in the landscape that we have, there's not going to be a viable way to sidestep Ankalaev. And the only way to sidestep Ankalaev while keeping Pereira at 205 pounds is to find some other 205-pounder that could make a compelling argument as to why it should be them. And none of them are even trying. You got to understand, your best days of seeing Alex Pereira fight are behind you. Watching Alex Pereira fight is not something you're going to get to do again for a very meaningful amount of time. Mike Tyson, Anderson Silva, in my lifetime, these guys were so feared, you didn't get to see them fight very many times. You could see the match, you could see the poster, you could have the build-up, you could pop the popcorn, you could sell the pay-per-views, but the guy standing across from them had already decided what was going to happen that night. He did the press, he did PR, he put on the fancy robe, he collected the check, but he had already decided what was going to happen. And it was not, I'm going to bring my skills against yours and I'm going to fight you. And Pierre, up until this point, been just another guy. Go out there and fight him. But he now is going to enter that Anderson, that Mike Tyson, that level of fear where guys are not going to come out. And you're already seeing it. This isn't Chael's opinion. It is blatantly obvious that there are 5 options they would rather land on than Ankalaev. But there isn't a light heavyweight amongst them. There isn't even a heavyweight amongst them that's throwing their hat in the ring, making an argument, saying I should be the guy. Give me Ankalaev. I'll prove it. Give me Ankalaev. Winner takes on Pierre. He needs a break anyway. He's already fought twice this year. Right? Like, just starting that discussion. Wouldn't matter if you won it. Wouldn't matter if you lost it. Wouldn't matter if we all teased you and laughed at you. Just to start the discussion. There's not a light heavyweight or a heavyweight out there. There's just Ankalaev. Ankalaev absolutely should get that fight. He's speaking up and saying he wants the fight. He's saying how many different ways he can beat him. He's laying out his record. He's laying out his wins, losses. He's laying out his ranking. Ankalaev is doing everything right. Ankalaev is doing everything that a guy that would like to get a fight should do. Like, as much as you believe there's discussion and a conversation and we're going to keep this ball away from Ankalaev, there's not an ability. We can do the Montreal screw job on a guy if we have another guy that can fog a mirror. But if you got a division of Sandhagens, there's nothing you can do. There's nowhere to go. Nobody ever gets a phone call one day. Hey, how's it going? Hey, great. Hey, You got the job. You start on Monday. Whoa, hey, what job? This one, blah, 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 with all the perks and all the benefits that we've been scouting for. Like, it doesn't work that way. You must at first have applied for the job. Nobody goes, I'm about 2 fights away from a championship. Then they get a call and say, hey, your next fight's for the championship. You go, really? Wow, that surprises me. I just told the media I'm 2 fights away. Wow. All right, great. I was being humble when I said it. I was really thinking I was better than that. Thanks a lot for the boost. It doesn't work that way. There is not a light heavyweight out there that has said Pereira's name, except for Ankalaev. As a matter of fact, there's not a light heavyweight out there that said Ankalaev's name, except for Pereira. And if you want to get Pereira to heavyweight, as much as you think it is to clean out a division or get through Ankalaev, I'm just here to let you know that's not how we got him to light heavyweight from middleweight. So things are not quite as simple as you might think, but they're also not quite as complicated as you might think. Let the fighters who want to fight, fight when they want to fight. Chael Sonnen, Promotion 101. Get the fight into the ring.